Welcome to another episode of the Jim Roman Show. I'm your host, Jim Roman, where we talk about how to build a better business to build a better life. This is a part of our series. We're going to be talking about strategic planning. Hopefully you've been joining along this series. You can click back in previous videos to watch this. We're talking about strategic planning. This is the best time of the year to get ready for the next year. And I'm sharing you each episode what you could do to create that plan so that you not only survive, but thrive for years to come. If this is your first time, we want to welcome you. How these episodes go is I train for 20 minutes on a particular topic. Feel free to ask questions, comment below, and share with us what's working for you. What are you doing to build a better business, to build a better life? So let's jump into today's episode. Again, we're talking about strategic planning. If you've been joining us in the series, in the first episode, we talked about the 5 drivers to building business success. Those 5 drivers are the things that will help you start to build a plan. There's a saying that says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So I thought we'd start off this series, start off a new year with creating a mindset to be able to be successful. So in the first episode, we talked about one of the first drivers that will help you build a better business, to build a better life, is knowing why you do what you do, your purpose and passion. This helps you get through the most difficult times, the most challenging times. Those times you want to give up and just quit. If you can reconnect to your purpose and passion, it makes the biggest difference in your success. We also talked in the first episode, where do you want to be beyond the business? What are your dreams and aspirations? You have your purpose and passion on one side, you have your dreams and aspirations on the other. We went on into the second episode, we talked about what does your business need to do to make all of that happen, how to live the life you've always wanted and have money to do something with it. We talked about what does your business need to look like today, but more importantly, what does your business need to look like in the future? And we covered organizational structure. By the way, if you want copies of these tools, you can go to my website at Business Owners University and click on the Start Here program. It's a complimentary program that we're giving away for you to be able to build a better business, to build a better life. We talked about in that episode, again, what do you need to do? What does your business need to do for you financially, physically, and culturally to be able to have what you want? Last episode, we talked about waypoints. We talked about what do you need to do to eat an elephant? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you run a marathon? One step at a time. How do you reach your business goals? One waypoint at a time. Milestone, steps, actions. So you can watch that episode. In this episode, my question to you is, when do you want business success? Let me ask that again. When do you want business success? Do you know that most people, their answer to that question is, well, someday I would like to be successful. One day I would like to be successful. But what if you were to put a date to it? What we call a business maturity date, a date in the future where your business can run without you, freeing you to be able to do whatever you want to do. Now, why is putting a date or having a deadline important in building your business? A couple of reasons. Number one comes to mind is when you go on vacation. I find that more people get more stuff before a vacation than any other time of the year. Why? Because you have a deadline. You have a by when. So you have to get all that stuff ready before you can go on vacation to enjoy yourself. I find that having a deadline makes the biggest difference. The other reason why you want to make a difference, have that deadline or a when, is I remember working with the financial planner, and she was sharing me with her where her life goals were. She wanted to have a house on the water with horses, enjoying her family, making 6-figure income, and so on. A couple of hours into the workshop, she mentioned that she had a house on the river. She had horses. She was spending time with her kids and grandkids, and she made good money. And I said to her, Linda, excuse me, but you said that your life goal was to have a house on the water, have horses, be with your family, and it sounds like you're living that kind of life. And she goes, oh, I am. And I said, but your face doesn't reflect it. You're not smiling. And she goes, oh my God, I blew past my goal and I didn't even enjoy it along the way. See, I think so often we work hard and we grind and we grind and we grind and we say one day, someday, we're going to enjoy the fruits of our labors. And that day passes us. Or in my dad's case, as you know, my story, if you listen to any of my recordings, he passed away in a heart attack at 62. And when he died, the restaurant that he owned died with him. So I think if you pick a time in the future, a date in the future will make a big difference. We suggest people pick a date 3, no more than 5 years into the future. Why? I think 5 to 10 years tends to be too long and you give up. 1 year may be too short for some people, but 3 to 5 years is a good amount of time to build a mature business, to free you up to do what you want to do. Doesn't mean you have to sell your business, doesn't mean you have to leave your business. It just means you have a choice when it comes to your business. So what can you do to pick a date? So let's talk about picking a date for you. So say you're a micro business and you want to go to $1 million business, or you're a million, you want to go to multiple millions. I find that if you can create a business that can run without you 3 to 5 years from now, you're more likely to achieve it. You say, shoot for the stars, and if you hit the moon, that's not a bad thing, right? So if you pick a date, say 3 years from now, and it takes you 4 years, not a bad thing. It gives you something to shoot for. It gives you a timeline, a deadline to be able to have more of a sense of urgency. Very similar to right before you go on a vacation, you get more done than any other time of the year. Same thing with creating a business maturity date. So let's talk about some dates that you can choose 3 to 5 years from now. So one of the things I recommend people do is to pick an anniversary date in the future. Maybe you're turning a certain age. So maybe in 3 years, you're turning 50. Or maybe in 5 years, your business will be 10 years old. It's an anniversary, 10 years here. Picking a date that has a significance. I've had people pick, again, a birthday, an anniversary, when their kids will graduate from college or high school, depending on what the parents' goals are, so that they are freed up to be able to do the things they want to do beyond the business. So having a when as part of your waypoints and your why and your where makes the biggest difference in achieving the success that you've always wanted. But there's a caveat. There's one other element that you want to do, not only picking a date, but also to celebrate on that date. I was first introduced to this concept by Chuck Blakeman with the Crankset Group. He came up with the 3 to 5 Club. You should check it out. Crankset Group, 3 to 5 Club, great organization that you should check into. And what I love about what Chuck was saying is that he's going to create a business so that he can be able to do the things that he wanted to do. And he picked a date, what he was going to do, how he was going to celebrate. And that date came, and guess what he did? The following day, he did what he said he was going to do. It also reminds me of another story, the founders of a bread company, Montana Bread. I read this article years ago in Fast Company. And the couple started this business. They said to themselves that if we're going to build this business, we can't get away what we love to do, and that is going outdoors. So they made a promise to each other that 1 year from the day they started their bread company, Golden Harvest, I'm sorry, it was Harvest Company, Golden Harvest Company. They said that we're going to take a month off to go bike riding, to do things outside because they love the outdoors. And if we can't 1 year from now do that, then we're closing the business because you're not supposed to be in business. And the couple agreed to that. 1 year later, the article goes on to talk about this. And I reread it again to make sure that that actually happened. It happens. 1 year later, it was time to take that 1 month off to go around the country, bike ride, do outdoor stuff. And one of them said, yeah, we can't leave the bakery. What will happen if we did? And the other spouse said, we made a promise that if we don't do this, we're to close the doors. And so guess what they did? They kept their promise. They took an entire month off to travel the country, to do outdoor stuff, to ride their bikes, came back 1 month later, and guess what? The business was still there. Now, the article pointed out there was a small fire, but the employees were able to put it out. No big deal in the grand scheme of things. Now, 10, 20 years later, they're a pretty big company, and I think it has a lot to do is they picked a date in the future, and they celebrated their success on that date. In other words, why are we in business? If we're not going to celebrate along the way, then why be in business? Why have it almost like a job? So I highly recommend people celebrate once a year, once a quarter, at least once a month. But I also recommend getting that business maturity date in the future, 3 to 5 years, that you can then take time from your business. So what I want you to do now, whether you're watching this live or watching this pre-recorded, comment below 2 things. If you were to pick a date in the future that you would want your business to be mature enough that you could take time off, what date would you pick? Not only put the date, but put why that date is important. Maybe because your kids will be graduating from high school or college and it will free you up to be able to travel the country or travel the world. Or maybe it's your 10-year anniversary of your business or a certain age that you ultimately want to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labors. So comment below. Again, if you're watching this recording or live, comment below. While you're commenting below, What I also want you to do is to reflect on if that day came 3 years from today, and I'll talk about what I would do. What would you do to celebrate that day? So for me, when my business is mature, the first thing that I want to do, if I haven't already done it, is go to Italy. I have been dreaming to go to Italy for years, and I'm hoping in 2021 I can do that because we'll probably get great pricing on travel. But if not, on my business maturity date, I'm definitely going to Italy so that I can sit at a local cafe and have a plate of cheese and a glass of wine and just soak it in, and maybe some olives to go with it. That's what I'm going to do to celebrate. And if I do really, really well, I'm going to go to Argentina as well, because there's beautiful, delicious wine in Mendoza, Argentina. And that's the second thing I want to do to celebrate. Because I think if we have that kind of deadline, that kind of date with the celebration tied to it, we're more likely to achieve it than not achieve it. So again, comment below now, what would you do to celebrate? So say that date is 3 years from now, 5 years from now, your business is running without you for the most part, setting that aside, what would you do to celebrate? If you were to travel, tell me where you would want to travel, because I might want to go with you if I'm welcome. Or what are you going to do to celebrate, maybe with your family? Or maybe there's going to be something you've always wanted to do for yourself, and that would be a perfect way to celebrate. So I want to finish up. This will be a shorter version because it's part of a bigger version of the strategic planning process. And just to recap, which we're going to be doing next week. Next week, I'm going to be going through all of these episodes again. So if you haven't gone back to episode 1, 2, 3, and now this one, next week, we're going to actually recap the entire business plan. We're going to help you build a business plan from that. I'm going to give you live examples. It's going to be very, very, very rich. So if you haven't been joining us on this journey, you definitely want to join us next Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here. We're going to be talking about wrapping this all up. We're going to be talking about the first driver of the 5 drivers is why, second driver, where, what, waypoints, and like we talked about today, when. It starts to put it all together. Next week, I'm going to talk about this again, but in more detail, giving you real examples so that at the end of this month, at the end of this series, you are well on your way to priming your mind to a super successful year after year after year. In closing, if you haven't commented before, you haven't sent us questions at questions@Ask Jim Roman, or you haven't gone into our Start Here program, I highly encourage you to do that. These are some really, really wonderful resources. A lot of them are free, and I highly recommend that. I highly recommend you check out our Strategic Planning Masterclass, where it walks you through a live event we did earlier this year with a group of people, walking through every step of the process. And in the end, you get a plan. You get a whole planning work guide. You get all of this process working, because ultimately I want you to prime your mind for years to come. So as we wrap it up, again, please join me next week. It's going to be a special treat, as I have a lot to share. I don't know how long it's going to be. It probably won't be a 20-minute one. It'll probably be a lot longer than that. This is one of our shorter versions. And I don't have to belabor this. It's simply just creating a date in the future, 3 to 5 years. What are you going to do to celebrate? Because you deserve it. You're in business and you deserve it. And I really want you to build a better business to build a better life. So again, I want to join you. Thank you for joining us on these episodes. Thank you for joining us on the series. We have one more, and we'll sum it all up next week. But hopefully you'll join us. Again, I'm Jim Roman. The more you know, the more we grow. So this is the part where I may or may not edit this out. And this is where I check out the comments, questions, and things like that. Some of the questions that we get up into this point is, Jim, how can we find out more about your services? Because I like the series, I love what you have to offer, but I don't really know what you do. Are you a business coach? Are you a business consultant? Are you a business mentor or a business advisor? And I would argue we're all of those, because we figure out what works best for our clients versus giving you a cookie cutter program that you got to figure out how to apply it to your personality. One of the things we have you do is to reach out to us on social media. You can find me on Jim Roman Online. My website is jimromanonline.com, and you can click on our programs tab, and there's different ways we can support you. We have a free blog, a free Start Here program. We have programs that are very inexpensive to great investments. So those are some ways that we can support you. So please feel free to do that. But ultimately, hopefully you're learning in this series how to build a better business, to build a better life, because what we want for you is to have those riches in those relationships in your life. So I'm going to finish up here and just thank you again I don't know if I'll keep this in, but I just want to thank you all for being a part of our community. Thank you for being a part of my life. And I want to wish you a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Festivus for the rest of us. However you celebrate these holidays with your loved ones, we thank you. I hope to see you soon, whether online or offline. Take care and God bless.